not more powerful than just joining, and it's stuff that you'll do a lot more often. It's kind of like texting in your lap. Okay. So a query suggests a feature of interest, creates a subset. So when we queried, all of the forest particles or the agricultural pieces, we kind of had a subset of data. And that way, once we get that subset, we can now isolate that from the whole data set, and we can look at relationships, we can look at connections, we can see if they're, is the crime all in a row? Is it all in one neighborhood? But when you have all those dots there, it gets really hard to really get your information, and so querying is a way to do that. We've done some queries based on attributes, and I think that's in Chapter 4. You did a lot of attribute queries, right? Republicans or something based on that. And so you base that on that income field, right? And you use the logic statements for that. We're going to do some other kinds of queries, this time called spatial queries. And so this time, you don't have to have data that's in the same attribute table. I can query something that's 50 feet from something else. So I can have 2 different feature classes or 4 different feature classes. And I can say, I just want all of the culverts that were within 10 feet of the road, because those are the ones I need to go inspect, right? Or I just want all the houses that are within a mile of a school. So the houses are in one feature class, the schools are in another feature class, and I'm looking at that spatial relationship between them. Way different than an attribute query, right? So that's what you're going to be working on with this.
Pull data for both tables?
No.
Okay.
No, I pull it based on the other table, right? Okay. Now, that's a lie. I so lie. Okay, so I could query all the high schools out of my school data set, and then I can query all the houses that are within 50 feet of the ones I queried, right? I can do that, right? So I can query one and then query the second based on that query. So it can get very nested and somewhat confusing. Yes, Charmaine, just a second, and then.
So are the houses in the same attribute table?
No, the houses are not in a net. They're a feature class all their own.
Okay.
Right? So you have 2 different feature classes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and these are the things we used before, right? Greater than, less than, equal to, and, or. And don't even think about the Boolean logic queries. We were talking about those in raster data. They're not something we're going to use for this. But SQL is kind of that standard language. You'll hear people say, do you know SQL? So that's called the standard query language in GIS. And so when we do a query, we're selecting from a feature class, right? So that's the layer. Select from feature class, select from population, where, and then we type in the field, right, is greater than whatever, the condition, right? So that's kind of the setup for that. Or we do select from cities where population is greater than equal to 50. We might say you could select from 2 different fields. Population is greater than equal to 50,000, but males are less than 50, right, %. So you could look at it that way. So lots of ways to look at that. And you guys have used these a lot, right? So we've got the queries. You double click the field or the feature class is in the top. That's the layer I want to query from. The field that I want to query is in this box. When you double click it, it goes down into the query box. You do your operator, and then you put your condition down. So what you're looking at here at the top is method. It says create a new selection, and we've always just defaulted to that. This time you're going to change some of that. You're going to change things to say query from selected features, right, that are already selected. So there's options up in that header box. Okay, so here's some things. If I go, this was a quiz, but because I don't have it actually running. If I say name equals Alabama and name equals Arizona, what am I going to get? I'm in this. Huh? I'm not going to get nothing, right, because there is no state that has both of those pieces for their name. If I say name equals Alabama or name equals Arizona, what am I going to get? Both those records perfectly. If I go not name equal Alabama, what am I going to get? Exactly. And that's such a tricky one. The not comes first, right? And you have to repeat that. Not name equals Alabama and not name equals Arizona. And I have to copy this down and look at this every flippin' time, right? The other way to do that that's tricky, if I said name equals Alabama, in the attribute table, I can say switch selection. If I can't remember the not, I can select the two I want to exclude and then switch it so everything else gets selected and they get excluded. It's very sweet. And then there's this really fun little wildcard function called like. And so let's say I want to find something that starts with the letter C. I just want all the letter C's. You could say name like, and then you do C percent if it's a shapefile, and name like C star if it's in a feature class. And it'll find that. So let's say I know, I want all of the sections of the Willamette River, but they don't all say Willamette. Some might just say W. And so I could say, name like W and then a star after it, saying anything following that. So it will give you that. Or if I have a bunch of jumbled, sometimes you get, the state has a data set of just features, and it has a point for schools, hospitals. I mean, there's like 50,000 features, and each point is maybe a public building or a library or a school, and I could search through that for just a subtype using that like and get that out. Okay. So the not is tricky, as I said. So one way to do that is just to do the reverse. So state name is not Texas. Yeah.
When you do the like, can you put in like CI?
Yes.
Something?
Yep.
Put more than one letter in
Yep,
there?
you can. Or you can put a word. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That way you don't get other things.
And you can put that thing in the front. So let's say I know it ends in C. Then I could do %C, and it would take everything that ended in the letter C or ended in a word even, right? So if I know I want the word lake, and I just want all the lakes out of a set of data set, I could say something, parentheses, space lake, and I would get everything that ended in lake. So it's really handy. Okay. Where am I going? Spatial operators. So we've been using kind of logical operators, right? Greater than, less than. So we're going to start using spatial operators. So you're going to look at, roads that are intersected by, or roads that are completely contained in a county. That would work a little bit like a clip. Or roads that are within a distance of. So you've got these three major ways to look at one layer, one feature class based on the relationship of another feature class. So we're going to go through that with price. So we've done this a lot. When you select a record, that record can be saved as a new layer, and you're not withdrawing it or erasing it from the original. You're just making a copy of that in a new feature class, right? The thing. Oh wait. No, I'm sorry. Back up. Price has you do a lot of saving things as a layer. And this is a problem. I was thinking of exporting. When you save things as a layer, you're just almost putting a visual eraser on all the other data that's not in that layer. So if I selected Texas and saved it as a layer, I would only see Texas. But if I did any analysis, it would happen to the Texas file and the original file as well. So it gets really messy sometimes to save things as layers, and she has people do it because it's easy and because it doesn't add a lot of extra data to your geodatabase. But it can also create some problems and be a temporary. So one of the things I do whenever she says save it as a new layer, I export it as that selection as a new feature class and name it. The nice thing is if I need to go back, I can do that. If you just save it as a layer, you can't always go back, right? So a lot of this will be, the work that you will do will be create a selection. And then you might want to save that selection as a subset and then create a selection from your subset and save that as another subset. So that way you kind of are putting it out or creating separate feature classes of each direction or each piece that you go through, and it's easier to step back and figure out what you did, right? So that's just my suggestion on one of her examples. I'm going to have you go through the tutorial up through the end of the book, or the end of the tutorial. It's pretty short, really. And she goes through the definition query again. I had a video on that like in week 3, but she has a definition. She shows you how to do a definition query as well that will let you just kind of select kind of just the visual of an area. So to help with this chapter, let's see, where is, I'm going to open up, I can open this one up. I've been playing around with network data, and we'll see if this opens up. So does that, some of that is kind of useful here. One of the things that I put together is kind of a problem-solving sheet for the exercises when you get there. And what you'll notice is that the exercises are often in order of how the tutorial presents the information. So, you know, if it's a question that's number 9 or 10, that's probably more of a combination of all the skills. But if it's the first couple questions, that's coming from the first part of the tutorial. And so when you go through the skills, one thing that might help you as you go through this is just to kind of write a little blurb so that when you get ready to do the exercises, you kind of have a memory of what it was you were doing in that page. Yeah, on here. So this is in the chapter. Yeah, so what are the hints about, you know, definitions queries? What are the hints about exporting data? Selecting by location, how is that different? What are some things you need to make sure that you do, and why are you doing that, right? And then one thing that I think could be helpful when you get to the exercises is just this idea of really looking at each question and pulling it apart, so that often what you need to do is at the end of the question, right? But we get stopped at the first, so you almost have to read the whole question and say, okay, what is it that she wants me to do? You know, for instance, in one of the questions for exercise, chapter 5 for 1, the question says, how many states have counties named for Thomas Jefferson? Which state has Jefferson County with the most people in the year 210? Okay, so I got 2 questions going there, right? One of them is how many counties are named Jefferson, right? So that, I think right now I would probably just do an attribute query for county name equals Jefferson, right? And once I have that, I need to know which one of those has the most population. So from that selected, then I could, what, maybe? I could sort my, yeah, and just, so that's an easy one. That's, you know, I can read that through. So, but, you know, I kind of had to think through the question first, right? And now oh yeah, I know what she wants me to do. And then if you're not sure, you're saying, oh crap, is there anything in the tutorial? Go back and say, okay, wait a minute, where did we do anything similar to that? And then you need to kind of go through a trial process. So you need to try it. The problem sometimes with people is that, and me included, is that I'll try a lot of stuff and I don't kind of write down what I tried. And then all of a sudden something works, but I've tried so many things I can't freaking remember what it was that I did. Or I try something and then I try something else and then I try something else, but I've never set everything back to the original, so that I've introduced a lot of confusion and errors. So maybe I'm doing it right finally, but I've made so many weird selections ahead of that there's no way I can get to the right selection. So one thing, it's kind of using that scientific method, right? So I'm going to try one thing, different if it's not working. And I'm going to write down what it was and what were the results I got. Then I have to kind of make sure I'm back at the beginning again and try another thing. But if we just keep, pushing 8 different buttons and try 5 different things and it doesn't work, you can't problem solve it, right? I can't problem solve it because I don't know what you did. So I think you'll be really well served by kind of copying this out, writing on it, really slowing down when you get to these things so that you're using this kind of like a lab manual. How do you do that? And if you've tried 2 or 3 times and you're still stuck, then it's really reasonable to ask for help and say, okay, I've tried this and this is what I got. I tried this and this is what I got. And and that gives me some help. When people say it's not working, that's hard to know how to problem solve that. Or right, my car's broken. Or and I pulled out a bunch of wires. I don't know which ones I pulled out, and I don't have them anymore, but would you fix it? Okay, so, it's right, or maroon. Aren't you not supposed to ever cut the red one? I don't know. Don't cut the red one. Okay, so I'm gonna add some price data here in the cheesy way that, I have to make a data connection.
I heard writing down when we make all the joins and relates really helps for me too.
What you did, who was the destination? Yeah. You just have to kind of slow down the clicking because it's so easy to click, right? What am I doing here? I'm looking for computer. Wow, I don't have an R drive, do I? Well, that's going to make life just a little bit hard. Okay. I feel kind of special today. Do I have price data anywhere else? I should. Let's see. Oh, look at that. I know, but it's redded out. I know. Let me see if I can. I know. I just have to do it here. Hold on. Novell login. Okay. All right. Now, can we see it again? Yay. Or not.
You have to refresh.
Maybe. Thank you. Oh, good job, you. Okay, assign, GIS, price baby, MGIS data. Ooh, let's do US, 'cause I think she does a lot of US data here. Okay, so let's add some earthquakes and some rivers and some counties. I don't think they went far enough, did they? Oh, they're going into network analysts, which is why. Okay. Quakes. Yeah, whatever. I was doing something, playing around with weird projections. And okay, so we've got some data on here. And I think good practice is always just to kind of look at these things and see what you have, what kind of data is in your data fields or your attribute tables. Okay, so state names. This should be really painfully familiar to all of you by now, right? Males and females. It's even Austin's rolling his eyes over there. Okay, quake history. Let's see what's in there. Ooh, location. Oh, that's interesting. So if I wanted to get all the ones in California, I could say I would maybe try, I could maybe try a or near, right? So I could do that. Start with near. I've got a depth. Ooh, damage. That's a cool one. Sorry, Did you guys look at that website I sent out?
Yeah.
Scary, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, makes you want to go buy a big trash can and put stuff in it.
42 gallons of water per person.
I know. Well, they're talking
It was worse from the coast than it was over here.
the coast is.
Yeah, I did my own I did Bandon, and it was just like it was.
Yeah,
It would wipe Bandon out completely.
The coast is toast.
Yeah.
Unless Florence, Newport's not too bad. Although Florence has got liquefaction, so that's not good.
Part of Newport.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just select something here. So let's just select all of the big quakes. So we'll do an attribute query, maybe. And you can do it from in here, right? Or you can do it from at the top, selection. So actually, I might do that today. So I'm going to, oh, look at that, select by location. That's up there. But I'm going to select by attribute first. And I want to pick quakes. Depth greater than, and I don't know. Let me see what they range from. Oh, 1 to, well, I don't want the, actually I want less than, because it's those shallow ones that are bad. So I believe. Depth less than, I don't know the units of that. I'm going to assume it's meters because it's scientific, right? Okay. Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, I didn't actually click it. Okay. So there we go. So there are, oh, how many are in there? None. Oh, there they are. Okay, so, yeah. So I just want to look at those guys, all right? All right. So I just got on my attribute table, I'm just selecting those. And now I could select just the ones that are in Oregon, right? Let's see if I have any in Oregon. Owens Valley. Ooh. Did you see all of that?
Yeah, you have about 4 or 5.
California, California's, that's pretty good. So I'm going to select by attribute. And I don't want to create a new selection. I want to select from the current selection. Okay? And I want to choose now state equals, let's do California, CA, and I'm going to OK that. Cool. Oh, there's only 200 that are in California. Oh, only 200. So let's just look at those guys. Oh, can I? Yeah. Cool. Huh. Wow. And then I wonder if we can select from the selective damage over magnitude. Ooh, let's do magnitude. I love magnitude. Okay. What do you think? Over 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let's go select from current selection. Stop. Magnitude greater than 5.5. Will it let me do that? Is it a number or do I have to put it in? No, I can do that. Okay. And I'm going to OK that. Cool. So I've just taken that big thing and just sorted it down and down and down, right? So those are selected, right? So now I've got those guys. Let's get, at this point, you could export that as its own feature class if you wanted. But really what I want to do is get all of the rivers, or maybe I just want all of those. Yeah, I want to get all of them that are near a river. Let's just play with that idea. Oh, misname. Yeah, we found that last year. Somebody misnamed that one. There's wrong data, right? Okay, so here's my rivers. And so I'm worried about dams. I don't know why I'm worried about dams. But let's just say we're worried about dams. So now we could select by location. Okay, so here I have to play a little bit. Select features from rivers, okay? So I want all the rivers. Okay, only show selectable layers in the list. Quake hiss, and I just want to use the selected ones, right? I don't want to use all of them. So I said, I want all of those quake histories, and I want those that are within a distance of the source layer. I'm saying my rivers. Oh, what's a good, let's say 1 mile. Let's say 2 miles, okay? So what I did was I said, okay, find the rivers that are within 2 miles of the quakes that I have highlighted, that I've selected, okay? So I kind of went through that. And I think maybe no rivers were selected. don't have any. Maybe it's not close enough. Or maybe I did it wrong. Select by location. Select features from rivers. Let's change, that are within a distance of, let's do 5. Okay, something's wrong. I love these demos. Okay, nope.
It looks like you're pulling still quakes off of there for now. Doesn't that look like quakes up there in the ocean still?
Well, I'm just looking at my selected one. Okay. 3D. I think this is the right one. All right. So it's got to be within 5 miles. Yeah.
The river that's within 5 miles of a quake history.
Well, quake history is the name, but the quake history is based on the location.
Okay.
Oh,
Or the ones that are over 5.5.
that's right. That's right. Let me see. How far is that? 300 meters, 30,000 meters. Distance, miles, come on. Oh. All right, let's just try again. Select by location. Price will have worked this out for you. Let's say 50. Okay. Aha! Finally! Okay, so now here's all my U.S. rivers, and there's the 5 rivers out of the data set that were near that selection from the selection from the selection. Does that make sense? Kind of how we did that?
50 miles of a river in California.
From one of the big quakes. Yeah. Now I would probably start seeing, what's the closest one? The Colorado River is within 50 miles of an earthquake in California. Oh yeah, of course it is, because it goes out. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Steal all their water.
Still all the water.
Yeah. So Quake Hiss is just the name that they gave this feature class, and the feature class has the location of the earthquake, the state, the depth. It has the history of that particular earthquake, and this is probably the focal point, right? If they have depth, it's probably focal point. I don't think it's the epicenter of that. So that's kind of one of the things that she's going to have you do. Look at all those different options around there. And there are several selection tools. Here I can select by a polygon, which means I can click here and double click, and it will capture everything that's in that polygon that I just selected.
It gives you that scraggly
Ah, anybody have an idea what it gave me? It's a river. Well, the river is one long piece. So even if I grab, let's see if I can get rid of that thing. If I grab just the edge of that river, it will take the whole section of the river. Okay? And if I get just the, I can select by a line, so I can draw a line through things, and it will select everything that touches that line. So if the whole polygon actually touches that line, right, it's not exactly where it touches, okay? So she'll have you do a lot of selecting by different types of selection and then do queries from that. So once you've selected that, then you're going to select all the farms that are, within this circle. So she'll have you work through those kinds of different selections. And she uses this thing, which is new to me, called the selection tool. And if you get stuck here, cool. Because I've never used this selection tool, and I've yet to figure out how good it is or why it's there. But I just noticed that my rivers are listed, from that earlier selection.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting. And here it says, oh, that's kind of interesting. I've selected 71 counties, 60 earthquake points, 5 rivers, and here's the 5 rivers. That's kind of cool. So if I do that, it's going to tell me, oh yeah, I selected 2 counties, 1. Now if I don't want to select something, I think I can move it down here, maybe. I'm not sure.
Click on it.
I'm clicking on it.
Click on that
Oh, and it puts it in the non, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then I could do that. So now if I do this, I'm, now I'm not going to select, oh,
It's like a switch, kinda. Switch it from selectable to not selectable.
Isn't that just a clear selection button?
well, it does look like it's a clear selection. So it's selected features. But if I don't want to clear, if I don't, yeah, selectable, no features selected. There should be a place where she'll show you where you can make sure you don't, the only way I know how to do that in my life is turn these off. So if I turn that off, it's not selectable anymore. So I can do this or not. And then when I turn counties on, they're not selected. But I think she shows you a different way to do that. Okay. I think it's really kind of a fun. It's about drilling down through data to get information that you need, right? And how do you do that? So I think you'll like this one a lot. And so we're going to do the tutorials due by Tuesday, and the questions. You'll have the weekend to work over the questions, and then we'll do the exercises by Thursday. So we're just kind of off a half week. All right? Sweet. Are there any questions about the questions? Do you want to query